Belief in the existence of ghosts and their ability to affect the lives of the living is a key feature of Chinese folk religion. As a result, many Chinese folk religious beliefs and practices are related to ghosts, with perhaps the most famous being the Hungry Ghost Festival, which takes place each year on the 15th day of the 7th month of the Chinese calendar. Before discussing the Hungry Ghost Festival in detail, it is important to remember that the beliefs and practices that come under the umbrella term of Chinese folk religion are extremely diverse. Whilst the Hungry Ghost Festival is commonly celebrated by folk religionists across China and in Chinese communities in other countries, the way in which it is celebrated and the beliefs which are associated with it vary greatly. As with many folk religious observances, the exact origins of the Hungry Ghost Festival are unclear. However, it is believed to have developed from ancient Buddhist and Daoist practices. One source of the Hungry Ghost Festival is found in the Buddhist Ulan Pen Sutra. This sutra was translated from Sanskrit into Chinese in the 3rd century AD by the famous translator Zhu Fahu. It tells the story of Mu Lian, who was one of the Buddha's closest disciples. The sutra says that upon achieving higher knowledge, Mu Lian used his newfound abilities to search for his deceased parents. He discovered that his mother had been reborn into the Hungry Ghost realm. He travelled to the realm to visit her and found that she was starving and wasting away. He tried to help her by giving her a bowl of rice. However, as a hungry ghost, she was condemned to be unable to eat such food, and it turned to coal and burnt her mouth. Mu Lian returned to the human realm and told the Buddha what he had seen and asked how he could help his mother. The Buddha told him that he should give offerings to monastic communities, because when the monks accept these offerings, they pass the merit earned from them on to the giver's parents, thus nourishing hungry ghosts and eventually freeing them from that realm. This story inspired Chinese Buddhists, and by the early 7th century AD, the Jingchu Sui Shiji, a record of holidays and customs in central China, notes that Buddhists would go to temples on the 15th day of the 7th month, make offerings of food and flowers, and join the monks and nuns in chanting and drumming. Observance of this festival became more widespread when the story of Mu Lian saving his mother was elaborated on during the Tang Dynasty, becoming a well-known tale on which popular folk operas and short stories were based. Another early forerunner of the Hungry Ghost Festival was an ancient Daoist observance to mark the birthday of the deity known as the Great Official of Earth. Since at least the 2nd century AD, Daoists have worshipped the 3 great officials. Each of these most important of deities, subordinate only to the Jade Emperor himself, presides over one of 3 realms: the heavens, the earth, and the waters. They record the deeds of all those in their realm and dispense punishments and rewards as they deem necessary. The great officials of heaven, earth, and water have their birthdays on the 15th day of the 1st lunar month, the 15th day of the 7th lunar month, and the 15th day of the 10th lunar month, respectively, or Shangyuan, Zhongyuan, and Shaiyuan in Chinese. Therefore, the birthday of the great official of Earth is called Zhongyuanjie, the middle 15th day. Zhongyuanjie is the name most commonly used for the Hungry Ghost Festival today. It was believed that on Zhongyuanjie, the great official of Earth would dispense punishment on people for their misdeeds committed over the previous year. And on this day, Daoist temples would hold ceremonies and perform rituals, including those to exonerate hungry and imprisoned ghosts. The observance of this day was widespread enough by the Song dynasty that it was mentioned in the Mengliang Lu, a record of the customs and traditions of the people of Zhejiang province in the 12th century AD. It is recorded that at that time, the people of what is today Hangzhou would float thousands of lotus lanterns on the city's river in the belief that it would help free spirits from hell. The practice of floating lotus lanterns during the Hungry Ghost Festival continues in some places to this day. How these 2 ancient Buddhist and Daoist festivals eventually grew into the Hungry Ghost Festival which is observed today is not entirely clear. However, it is perhaps unsurprising that in China's syncretic religious landscape, festivals which appeal to filial piety and the worship of indigenous deities would be adopted by folk religionists. Today, the Hungry Ghost Festival is the high point of Ghost Month. Ghost Month is the 7th month of the Chinese calendar, which usually falls between August and September on the Gregorian calendar. It is believed that during this month, the barrier separating our world from the underworld is removed, and as such, ghosts will enter our world seeking food, offerings, and entertainment. These ghosts are usually believed to be the spirits of dead people whose families have not been making sufficient offerings to them since their passing, or people whose families did not perform the correct rituals to help them pass peacefully into the next life. It is believed that, when wandering our world, these ghosts can interact with and influence the lives of the living. As such, a number of beliefs about what one should and shouldn't do during the 7th lunar month have developed. It is recommended that people should generally avoid putting themselves into situations where they might come into contact with a ghost, such as walking alone late at night, when ghosts are more likely to be wandering the streets, or going swimming, as the ghosts of those that drowned may pull you below the water to join them. It's also important not to take random items you find on the street, such as coins, as these may have been left as offerings for the ghosts. Some of the more unusual things which it's recommended that you avoid include wearing red or black clothes, as these apparently attract ghosts, and leaning against walls, as there may be a ghost hiding in it. Interesting as these recommendations are, it's worth pointing out that these days few Chinese folk religionists follow all of them stringently. Whilst they will perform the required ceremonies and make the correct offerings, most folk religionists will otherwise go about their business as usual during Ghost Month. Although the biggest celebrations are reserved for the evening of the 15th day, ceremonies and rituals take place throughout Ghost Month. Inherent in the observances during this month is ancestor worship, and just like with other Chinese festivals which feature ancestor worship, the burning of paper money, known as hal money, and other paper offerings is ubiquitous. It is believed that even in the afterlife people still need money, and this can be sent to them by burning. Other types of joss paper and paper crafts representing things such as clothes, cars, and even houses are also burnt to be sent to those in the afterlife. In recent years, it has become somewhat common to also see people burning paper versions of modern luxury goods, such as iPhones, laptops, and designer bags. This modern take on an ancient practice has not been universally welcomed, however, and disapproval of the supposed vulgarity of burning effigies of luxury goods, combined with concerns about the environmental impact of burning joss paper, have led to local campaigns in China to encourage people to be more cautious and prudent when making burnt offerings. In fact, in 2006, the Ministry of Civil Affairs announced a ban on burning large or vulgar paper offerings. However, the ban and other campaigns appear to have had little impact, as burning large amounts of hal money and large paper offerings is still an indispensable part of the Hungry Ghost Festival and many other Chinese festivals. Food is also given as offerings, with fruit, pastries, and sometimes meat being common. In some places, it's customary to give offerings in threes, as the number 3 is considered auspicious in Chinese numerology. During the Hungry Ghost Festival, such offerings are left outside on the street. This is done to avoid encouraging the ghost to come into your home or business. Unlike in other Chinese festivals for the deceased, such as Qingming, during Ghost Month, it is not only common, but indeed expected, that observers of the festival will not only make offerings to their own ancestors, but also to the many other unknown ghosts that are believed to be wandering the streets at this time. Live entertainment performances are often held during the festival. At these performances, it's customary for the front row of seats to be left empty for the ghosts to sit in. Traditionally, Chinese operas are performed during the Hungry Ghost Festival, and such performances are still the most common in mainland China. However, in recent years, other forms of entertainment, such as pop music performances, comedy shows, and even provocative dance routines have become more common. This is particularly true at Hungry Ghost Festival celebrations in Singapore and Malaysia, where such performances are known as Gertai and are famous for being loud and exciting, despite the otherwise serious and subdued mood of the festival. In some parts of Taiwan, parades are held where various local clan associations, businesses, and civic groups display decorated theme-based floats. These parades often feature marching bands, lion dance troupes, and people in costumes. In Taiwan, the floating of lotus candles on rivers is also a common sight during Ghost Month. Although it is sometimes said that this is done at the end of the month in order to help guide the ghosts back to the underworld, it is in fact common to see lotus lanterns released on rivers throughout Ghost Month. And some of the biggest lantern releasing festivals in Taiwan are held on the first day of the month and on the day of the festival itself. At the end of the 7th lunar month, it is believed that the ghosts return to the underworld, and the barrier between that world and ours is once again sealed.